resolution isn't great, but we can work with it.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you? Who's out there today?
I'm Valerie.
This is Sheila.
And we are today's Liches.
And we're a unique perspective of a sandwich generation.
With parents above and children and grandchildren below.
You can find us on Twitter and Facebook and
easier to go to
Instagram, all of them.
Yeah, easier to go to our website at twodaysliches.com. So let's get started. We have some announcements to make. One of the big ones is that we are really excited. We've got the Grandkids Corner coming up. So the Grandkids Corner is going to be premiering this Friday,
December 11th.
December 11th at 4 p.m. Mountain Time.
Yeah.
So it should be really good.
It's our chance to, get to play with the grandchildren without actually getting to play with the grandchildren.
Anyway, we have everything posted on our website. You can go to our website, and we hope to see you there at 4 p.m. on Friday.
Yeah.
And we should be putting one out
on our YouTube as well.
We should be putting one out probably every Friday at around that time, every Friday thereafter. So we're really excited about that. And our first episode premiere is all about snowflakes. So that's kind of cool.
Yay.
Yay. So what else have we got going on that you can think of coming up besides we are going to start podcasting in January. So we'll fill you in as that gets closer, and we'll probably have that. And we
were hoping to have our new camera all set up tonight.
Yes.
But it didn't happen.
We learned some interesting things, but this is the way it goes. Every time we think we make headway, we take 5 steps forward and 2 steps back. But the good news is you get to see us flop and fail sometimes.
That's
so
right.
Those bloopers are coming out shortly.
Yes.
When I get a chance to finish editing all the videos, one of my new jobs and your new jobs in life. That's been challenging.
It has.
It has.
I've learned a lot, way more than I ever thought I would. So then let's go ahead. Hot topic.
Hot topic. So last week we got into generations in parenting, and we thought we kind of had it covered, but it was like the COVID-19. We got a lot of comments.
We thought we had it covered, but we also didn't see a comment that had been posted. And its exact words were, how about the changing relationships towards the older members of your family? And so to us, that was a real thinker.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. So then we started thinking about how that kind of ties in what we were talking about with all of the generations that we've been dealing, like all the generational issues. And it still brings me back, and I don't know if you feel the same way, but it still brings me back to the fact that we're not comparing apples to apples anymore.
No. Things have completely changed.
Things are completely...
Every generation has changed.
Yeah.
Every generation has had a change. Every family dynamics have changed.
Right. And so I guess the perspective when I started all of this, I'm kind of old school. And it goes right back to what I was saying before. Prior to the baby boomers, generations. They call generations all traditionalists. Now, there's a reason why they only started naming generations, and that's because of the significant change that has occurred since the baby boomers. They started, and every generation ran with it.
Yeah, but there's always a change.
But with the change comes a new reality, and
families are different.
Families are different now. They're not the same. How And I guess that's the challenge for everybody to navigate, is how even the family unit doesn't exist the same anymore.
Yeah.
And
those relationships aren't the same as they were 50 years ago or 40 years ago or 30 years ago or even 20 years ago.
Well, I mean,
it seems like
we were, okay, our parents were raised by traditionals. We were raised by baby boomers. Our children, millennials for the most part, were raised by Gen Xers,
right,
which is us. And now the new alphas are coming out.
That would be our grandchildren.
Exactly. So the thing
and my parents' great grandchildren.
But even the family, we have blended families now.
Yeah.
There is a divide in loyalties, a divide in there's so much more complex relationships. Right. And people are growing up differently. And I think one of the things that is difficult to navigate is when you are raised that this is the expectation. Right. And this is your parents' expectation. This is your expectation on the children. But then the dynamics of the family change. It's very difficult to navigate those waters. Are the expectations the same?
Or are they different?
Or are the expectations coming from a place like from me, from a place of how I was raised, but not how it exists? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Understand exactly. Now I understand where
so
you're
for
going
me,
with that.
in a lot of these issues, because I tend to be more of a traditionalist than I'd like to admit, or more of
yeah, I would say you're more on the traditional.
However, I have created for my own self a completely different reality. I made the decision as an adult, right? You know, divorce, separation, blended families, and we've been navigating that in my family unit for many years.
Yeah.
And the difficulty there, though, was
in both our family units, because our parents, we come from a family of divorce.
Right. But most
so I think that all of us.
Right. And I guess those decisions, like for you, it's a little bit different.
I tend to have more of a traditional family.
Right. I guess
you would call
saying that I'm a traditionalist. No, what it comes back to is how you're raised. Right. We are all products of our environment.
Right.
And how I was raised places expectations within myself, right, that I project outward, that now I have to go back and navigate. Right. Because I realized that those expectations are only my own expectations based on a whole new world that doesn't even exist anymore. And that's the difficulty, right? I think for you, it would be a little bit different. I mean, you've been married to the same man
for 37 years.
Right. I mean, you know, your children, they have the same parents. That's all they have. But that's a rarity nowadays.
It truly
and that's
is a
the truth. I mean, that's sad, but it's true.
It is true.
And
it's totally rare. I can't believe it. But my son actually mentioned it to me. It's rare.
Yeah, it is rare. And I think that's the new complexities that families have to deal with. And in how do you navigate those relationships? This is what I can
Especially when we all start turning into seniors and
and
we're all going to be there, and we're all coming from blended families and different units and that. I don't think we always know how.
No, and I guess the point I was trying to make was that when you have a family unit, right? You have a family unit that exists, right? However, that family unit, the choice is made to change that family unit. Those relationships are going to change as well. They're not going to exist
anymore.
No, it's not that they don't exist.
They
just don't exist within that family unit anymore. Right. And I think that that's where we like this all started with getting judgy on parenting, the younger generation in parenting. What are they doing, right?
Yeah.
And this is how this all started.
And
this,
that's how we decided, like, a lot of this is.
But when you investigate it and you truly look into it, that life is not the life, the family unit, the society as we're, and I'm good, bad, or indifferent, it doesn't matter. That traditional family unit is a rarity. It doesn't exist anymore, right? And those expectations, placing those same expectations on a different family dynamic is that, are we being ridiculous in doing that? Right. I get it. And the thing is when I investigate, I say no, because we created that reality for ourselves. Those were the choices we made. And in the generations, these are the choices that you're making with all the changes and everything. Women working.
It affects your future, your past.
Right. Yeah. And so, I mean, so on and so on and so on, and moving to equality. Every human being treated equal, and moving to, and as we push forward with all of this, creates a new reality for ourselves. And that's something that us older generations sometimes, I mean, I think we've done a pretty good job.
A lot of times.
Right. Well, we tend to get judgmental without really looking at the harsh realities of what we actually created.
And what we don't even know what it's like.
No.
So it's hard for me to judge.
Well, we do know what it's like because we have parents who we've navigated divorce with our parents. But
as children. Or as not children, but as young people.
For me, young adult, whatever, but as a teenager, whatever. But yeah, we navigated that. And it was happening starting around the 80s. That seemed to be the thing.
More and more
families
that we heard of.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, now maybe there was a lot more of it. We didn't realize it, but we didn't have this lovely social media platform for everybody to, share all of their issues with. And I just think that we live in a totally different world today, and the expectations from 50 years ago, from our generation and before that, those expectations are hard for us to place those same expectations.
Hi there, Mom.
On a reality that doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't.
And I guess that's what we have to say. Oh, by the way, well, before we move on this topic, just checking to see what the video quality is like, because we had to go back to our old camera that created a lot of problems the last time. We don't want to go there again, do we? No. So
we'll see.
Yeah, so just let us know how
it's doing.
Yeah.
And we'll keep our eye out.
Yeah, I'll keep my eye out. I know at least one person there.
So now the other thing on the other side of this is something that many, many moons ago, now I say many moons because this is even before my parents, but they didn't worry as much because
Kathy
parents
says it's good, or Dad.
Oh, good. Parents, people living longer. So there was a time, and it wasn't that long ago, where our grandparents were still here. Do you know what I mean? We've lost our grandparents, and it's only been recent. But I mean, that would have
within the last 20 years.
Grandparents, they didn't get to see them live into their 90s and hundreds, and it's an amazing.
I understand that. Like I guess.
I'm just saying that we're living longer, and I guess we're learning lessons about how to look after our elderly, and that includes us at some point in time.
Well, no, that's the whole point. This is coming right up behind us. What's up there is just shooting us in the butt down here. I mean, we know that it's being realistic more than anything else. And I mean, hopefully we can affect change or whatever to navigate that system better. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that. But even opening the forum to the topics and the discussions.
Yeah.
And even the expectations and the realities.
Yeah.
Right. And it's
And I
muddy
don't think
waters.
the older generation has always been great at expressing what their expectations are.
No, but the thing is that again, it is how you were raised. I mean, it really comes down to
Well, that's what I mean. That's the whole generational.
Right.
You're right.
Right.
We both have agreed.
So in a roundabout way, we've come to an agreement that it comes to how you were raised. And I think fundamentally, as I was looking into it, I went into it deeper to realize that those expectations, I'm thinking of my parents and how they were raised, those expectations are going to be difficult to meet because those families don't exist anymore. And fundamentally the changes that we've all made, the baby boomer generation affected great amounts of change. And then comes Gen Xers and we push it a little bit forward. Then the millennials, they're taking off with it. And then the thing is that, and like I said from the beginning, there is a reason why they didn't name generations prior to the baby boomers, because
they were traditionalists.
Right? The baby boomers were the first generation to push it past. Now, it had been in the making for a long time, women's right to vote, suffrage, all of that. But traditionally, baby boomers were the first generation to really push and affect change. Right?
Yeah.
And it just moved. And all that change has created a reality that did not exist for the traditionalists.
No.
Like you.
Yeah.
I'm just making a joke.
I wouldn't say like me.
No. Well, you are.
I'm a traditionalist in many ways, or our family is in many ways. So
you have a traditional family.
We have a traditional type family. Doesn't mean we're traditional in any way.
No. No, that's for sure. If there's one thing I have learned, there is no perfect parent. There is no perfect child. They don't exist.
Yeah.
Right? We all have our issues and we all are amazing human beings in our own rights.
Yeah.
And I guess the reality is I'm kind of cluing into this new reality.
Well, and here we are 50 years old and we're just cluing in.
Yes.
So I can see,
like I said, there's certain things, I have a sort of like structure and balance and all that kind of stuff that I still feel fundamentally children need. But the reality is the world that our children are navigating parenting is a world that never existed for us.
It's a whole different world. And I'm thinking if it's a different world for me, then for my parents, it's got to be like an alien planet. Seeing their great grandchildren,
right,
being raised completely differently than they were raised,
right.
So but every generation we change just a little bit, and it seems like as we look down on that generation after us, it gets a little. We can become a little judgy.
That's when it all started.
Well, my kids were always in bed by 8 o'clock, no matter what I made it happen.
Here's the other thing that upon speaking with many people my age and above or relatively, one of the things that us as parents, and I can say my parents were probably felt the same way, was that of course the children went to bed by 8 o'clock because it was the only time you got to yourselves.
I was so thankful my mom and dad taught me that.
No, but that's all.
It's like, give me 2 hours.
Yeah, just your time. That's when I got my house clean.
Yeah.
It was the only time I knew I could sit down and it would be okay. But it's one of those things. But see, now the younger generation, and this again could be judgy, but they say that doesn't matter to them. That alone time
doesn't seem as important to them to have. I'm not sure why.
But maybe because they don't have as much time to
To give? I don't know.
no, to spend with their kids.
Maybe.
Maybe they spend that time with their
Their
kids.
kids.
I don't, and that's why I guess I just didn't. I was becoming
I
judgmental,
don't know.
and I just wanted to look at it a little further. Is it me? Is it just me? Or
But like we were saying, it's how we were also talking about how that we treat other older people. I, I respect elders because they're my elders, I guess you could say. Um, but I also try to show the same respect for the generations below me. Like I don't think I pay one more respect than I do the other. I try to pay everybody the same respect, and maybe that's the way I was raised too. Do you know what I mean? You just
again,
pay respect to.
how you were raised. A lot of it comes down to how you were raised. And I say how you were raised to a degree
Mhm.
because we all fundamentally make changes in our parenting.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can all say that there was things that our parents did that we swore we would never do with our children, right? And I think that goes down the line as well, right?
I'm with you 100%. I
Right.
thought you had something else to say.
No, no.
I'm like,
Not
oh
this time.
wow. But I really do think there is you're right, a fundamental change in every single one of our generations. The dynamics have been completely turned around in some. Do you know what I mean? So you go from these traditionalists who had, mom, dad, mom at home, mom cleaned, mom taught religion, dad did this, and then you have the booby boomers.
The
Sorry,
baby boomers?
the baby boomers out there
Wow.
who had made changes, and
It did change because even my husband grew up in a traditional home. His mother didn't
Yeah.
work outside the home. However, like he pointed out, yes, she did. She did some cleaning for a lady down the road.
Yeah.
She had a couple of odd jobs that
Yeah.
she did, but didn't really work outside the home. Like he
But
remembers.
they were the generation who brought working outside the home, and that changes dynamics again.
Everything
And
changes.
that's what I mean. The changing,
The
every single
expectations
generation's dynamics have been changed in some way.
Right. And the reality is we brought it on all ourselves.
Yeah.
That's,
So I'm
and
hoping that if everybody learns to treat each other with respect and dignity into our senior years, then when we get there, I'm hoping we get the same thing. Respect and dignity in our senior years.
yes, I do agree with you. I'm just saying though, it would be nice to live in this world where we just automatically assume that we're going to get respect and dignity as we get
It's
older.
not going to happen
But
unless
nowadays, and I say nowadays,
we need to start at what I'm saying is I guess we need to start asking for it right now, Val, because if we don't, we could be just plain, let's face it, out of luck by the time we get there.
I think, to be honest, respect is something that it's
that's a whole new subject.
I know, but you say respect and dignity.
I'm saying as we age, I get older, I want to be age and do it with respect and dignity. And I don't want to have to live in squalor. I don't want to have to worry about my medications or the price of things.
No,
I think these are things we can
mean.
learn about.
Yeah.
Ourselves in right now. Our generation should be learning from what our parents are going through and trying to change this now.
Yes, I agree. No, I see where you're going
So
with that.
how are the generations treating each other?
So here's the point. We're about solutions.
Yeah.
So we don't want to just be a bitch session. We really don't.
No.
But we're all about solutions and trying to find solutions. How do you find solutions? Well, one of them was I needed myself personally to start investigating a lot of the claims, a lot of what people are saying, what's out there, what's hot, what the topics are. And then when you investigate it and keeping an open mind and realizing that in this generational perspective thing, we are not comparing apples to apples anymore.
No.
And yes, one of the things is solutions. So here's the thing. Yes, we are concerned how our parents are being treated, right? Whether it's by how their pension, whether it's by healthcare, whether it's by lack of healthcare, whether it's by inadequacies in senior care or whatever. Of course, we're very interested in all of that because it's coming to us. We know we know
it's here or coming
just behind you.
Yeah.
And so if there's something, if there is a solution or something that we can do to help move some of these concerns in these areas forward, then yes, I'm all for using a platform for affecting change.
Yeah.
And a lot of it starts with, I know, and I really don't want to bring up COVID-19 again, but the seniors care, I think, was really brought up to the forefront when we saw the state of a lot of these seniors facilities.
It was
and
really
I call it seniors warehouses.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's when it really opened my eye to what's out there. Now, we all know if you have millions of dollars that this is probably not going to affect you.
Right.
Right?
It's not a concern for you.
Not a concern. But for
the vast majority,
average middle income families,
moderate thinking individual,
this does affect our seniors as well as us. Yeah. Right? And our children as well. Yeah. I mean, if we're trying to put something forward that will have some longevity. And keeping all of that in mind, where we're living in a whole new reality now.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So that kind of leaves us where
there's really not a lot to say, except for if you have some more questions or things you'd like for us to dig into, and we don't mind doing that, go ahead and send us a little question or send us something to our email, or go and visit us at 2daysliches.com.
Absolutely.
Because we have an email, blog.
Yeah.
It's all there.
Yeah, everything's on our website. I guess I'd like in closing to say that I love these generational topics because it really gets me to investigate and do a little digging. And
on yourself too.
But that's
it makes
what
you
it
look
is.
inside, right?
It really
and realize
does.
That things, every single generation has changed, and how on earth can we expect the exact same thing to be exactly the same when it's different?
Right. And that's what was so interesting. And it gave me a chance to really open my eyes and look at different perspectives and see and not be so judgmental. Because sometimes we have a habit of doing it. We don't realize we do it, but we do. And instead of having these, one-on-one conversations, we thought we would have them with everybody else because we can't be the only ones thinking about this stuff.
Well, I'm hoping we're not the only ones.
Well, no, and a lot of our suggestions come from you guys, right? You'll make a comment or send us something. It'll spark our interest.
Yeah, you can make changes. Yeah. By example, and the government, I do agree.
Yeah.
The government's view is often, I'm sure it's actually personally not. I am sure that the personal person, the individual who's in the government, it doesn't matter who they are, I'm sure they don't think of you as a burden personally. But overall, I'm sure they think of you as an expense. The seniors, the government. Like, I agree. Like,
see,
I'm
sure but they've been saying this for years. But they've been saying this for years. Yeah. Oh, the baby boomers are going to cripple us when they retire because there's so many retiring and not enough. Well, the reality is the money wasn't managed well, or this wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just put it, let's say
let's-
it the way it is.
exactly.
Anyways, let's not get into the whole whatever burden, because it's not a burden. Here's the point. This is maybe another topic
on another day.
On another day, but we do have to get going. We have another live show coming up. So for any of you who are interested in carrying this forward, we're heading over to Facebook
at 7:00.
At 7:00, and you can type and give us all your comments, and we can certainly,
and hopefully you have lots.
Yeah, for sure. So in closing, I'd like to thank everybody for all your love and support doing this as well. Looking forward to Grammy. Sorry, keep calling it Grammy's Corner because that was our original name.
Corner.
But it's Grandkids Corner, Friday, YouTube, 4:00. We'll see you then. And
don't forget to go visit us at
2daysliches.com
because all our stuff is there.
Right.
And
yeah, and have a great night, and we hope that we have given you something to chew on. Bye.
Bye.